All right, we're in the real stuff now. We're in like legit division. So we are going to be doing the long division setup for this one. Dividing, and we're going to be getting remainders. So let's start with 20 divided by 30. And the way I do it is I write the 20 first, and then I make this little doodad over it, and I put the 3 in front of it. This basically means 20 divided by 3. Now you want to read it like 3 divided by 20 because that's just the order the numbers are written in. We don't read it that way. 3 divided by 20 is impossible. So it is 20 divided by 3. And what we do is we start by place value. We've only got one number here to work with, so we're fine. So the 3 is what we're fitting in. We start only looking at the 2. Can 3 go into 2? No, it cannot. So this spot here stays blank. It stays blank. So you can put like a little X to remind you if you want. Don't put a 0, because if I'm telling you I have 5 cats, do I write it like this? No, I don't. I don't write it like that. So I'm not going to put a 0 here. But I can put a little something to maybe remind me. So if 3 is not going to go into 2, I take it as the whole number. 3 going into 20. So now I have to think of my multiplication facts. 3 times what will get me close to 20? Why 6 and not 7? 7 gets me closer. It goes over. I cannot go over, and you'll see why soon. So we have to do 6. What's 6 times 3? 18. Because now my next step is to subtract. 20 minus 18 is 2. Can 3 go into 2? No. So what I do is that 2 gets moved up and becomes my remainder. Now, I've got a little rhyme that helps us remember the order of events that we do here. And I want you to write this on the top of your paper. It's divide, multiply, then subtract, bring it on down, and bring it on back. And you can see that's what I did. I started by dividing. How many times can 3 go into 20? And I said 6. And then I multiplied. 6 times 3 is 18. And then I subtracted, which is 2. Now bring it on down. We're not there yet because this is only a 2-digit number. If it were a 3-digit number, if there was a 0 here, I would bring that 0 down. Don't freak out about that right now. We're not there yet, so we're not going to worry about it. But bring it on back, that's when I start over again. Can 3 go into 2? That's when I'm dividing. No, I can't. So that's when my remainder comes in. Sometimes your number will be able to go in and you'll do it all over again. Okay? So we're going to practice doing these together. And I really would like for you to do these arrows because that motion, that movement will help you remember the order. Trust me. When you start getting into this, your brain gets a little boggled and you do forget the steps. So that's how this rhyme can help, and that's how actually making these arrows will remind you. So let's do another one. Let's do 26 divided by 5. I need to make sure I leave myself a blank line, a space for my answer. So I'm going to skip 2 lines before I write my next one. I'm going to write 26 divided by 5. So I start, can 5 go into 2? No. So I'm leaving this guy blank. So now it's 5 into 26. What's going to get me close to 26? 5. Okay, so that was my divide. Now I multiply. 5 times 5 is 25. Then I subtract. 26 minus 25 is 1. There's nothing to bring down. So now I bring it on back and I start over again. Now I'm going to divide. Can 5 go into 1? No. And there's nothing else I can do. So that 1 is moved up and becomes my remainder.
Is this always going to happen?
In this lesson, this will always happen because the lesson is literally called dividing with remainders. Now, if I had 36 divided by 6, will I have any remainders? No, because those are multiples. 36 is a multiple of 6. They will fit in together. But this is sort of like what the other lessons are. Our last few lessons, we've had to look at numbers and find what we're close to get in. That's been preparing us for doing it this way. So let's try another one. We skip 2 lines. And then I'm doing 34 divided by 7. Seven cannot go into 3, so I'm doing 7 into 34. What's the closest that I can get to 34 without going over? 4. So 7 times 4 is 28. And now I subtract. What's 34 minus 28?
6.
Can I put 7 into 6? No. I'm so close, but I'm going to have a remainder. Another way that you can kind of get better at this and get used to this is by noticing how far off you are. Oh man, all I needed was 1 more. If that was a 35, that would have fit perfectly. I was 1 away from having a perfect even number. So that's going to tell me that my remainder is going to probably be 1 less than my number. Same thing with up here. This was just 1 over. All I needed was 25, but it made me do 26. That was just 1 more than I needed. Well, there's my remainder. So when you start noticing already how close you could be to the next number or how close you were to the last number, that will help you sort of anticipate what your remainder is. And that makes doing the math a little less stressful because now you're kind of knowing what's coming. And we always like knowing what's coming. Let's try another one. Skip 2 lines. 30 divided by 4. Four can't go into 3, so we're doing 4 into 30. What is the closest I could get to 30 when I'm multiplying by 4? Yeah, 7 times 4 is 28. So I was so close. There was 2 more there. If I had just 2 less, I would have been good. And with that being said, 30 minus 28 is 2, and there is my remainder of 2. 7 remainder 2 is my answer. So that would be, almost think of it in terms of, it's fractions in a sense. This is not the whole part. This is extra. So if I were to say that I have the groups of 30, there are 30, or the boat will only fit 30 people. How many groups of 4 could I fit on this boat? Well, technically, groups of 4 will not go to 30, but the boat can only hold 30. So I'm going to have to say only 28 people can go on this boat, and there'll be 2 extra seats. It's kind of like that. So think of it as fitting in something, as fitting on a bus or fitting in a boat, something with large seats. I have lots of people. Let's say I've got 26 people that want to go on a canoeing trip, but the canoe will only hold 5 people per boat. How many boats do I need to reserve for my canoeing trip? I can't just reserve 5. Sorry, Billy, you can't come. We don't like you. That's not nice. So technically, I would have to reserve 6 boats. So Billy, who no one likes, can sit by himself. No, I'm sure there'll be friends that join Billy in his boat. But that's what I'm meaning here with this. If I have more people coming, if I have 30 people coming, and my canoes will only hold 4 people, I can't just reserve 7, because then 2 people don't have a place to sit on the boat. So I have to reserve 8. So think of the remainders as the empty seats that you're going to have. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Because it's not the full number. In fact, here, we can even draw a picture. Let's go to this one because it's a smaller amount. If I have 1 boat, or if I've got the canoes, I said the canoe will hold 5 people. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's another canoe that can hold 5 people. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here's another boat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So right now I've got 20. So here's my last boat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's my 5 boats. Well, here's one person who's left behind. But I have a group of 26 people. What if we were going on our Texas history field trip? And I'm like, sorry, one of you can't come on the back cruise. The boat will only hold 25 people. And you're our 26th person. Bummer. Would that be okay? No, that would not be okay. So we would make sure that there was an extra boat and maybe took a couple friends off and put them on there with you so you weren't alone. So that's how it works. You want to make sure that you're always going to have the extra. Or in this case, if I only have the 28 people, I'm going to have some extra seats left over. Okay? Does drawing it out help?
Yeah.
Okay. You'll get better at this as we continue to move on. So if you're not quite 100% on this right now, don't freak out. Just know it will become a lot more routine and you'll start to get the hang of it. So let's do another one. Let's do 40 divided by 6. 6 cannot go into 4, so I'm doing 6 into 40. So what multiplication fact do I know that's going to get me close to 40 when I'm doing times 6?
Times 6.
So times 6. 6 times 6 is 36. And 40 minus 36 is 4. 6 cannot go into 4, so 4 is my remainder. Okay? Do we understand how we're doing this process? Let's do a couple more. Let's just keep moving on. So let's go to 35 divided by 8. Eight cannot go into 3, so I'm putting 8 into 35. Oh, there's one it's so close to. And it's almost annoying how close it is because it's still not going to fully, it'll work, but it's not going to keep me from a remainder. But what is it?
32.
So what times? So I'm going to put a 4 here because 4 times 8 is 32. Then I subtract 35 minus 32. 8 cannot go into 3, so 3 becomes my remainder.
And that's what you'll see on the test, right?
On a test, you will just be given this. This is what you'll see on a test. Just that.
And then for the answer, it'll say, like,
And for the answer, it'll be multiple choice on a test. So it will say a number with a remainder, or it might even just give you a whole number. But you're still going to have to do all the work. Now, we know our test skills where we can use some process of elimination to help us out. But we'll still have to do the work. 3 going into 17. What can I get close? 3 times what is going to get me close to 17? 3 times 5, because 5 times 3 is 15. I know you wanted to say 6. You'd love to go to 6. That'd be great, but we can't because we can't go over. If I put a 6 here, then I'm having to do 17 minus 18. Well, that's -1. We're not doing that. And then I don't even know how you would go on from that. It's not possible. You cannot do it that way. So 17 minus 15 is 2. So that leaves me with a remainder of 2. Let's do 2 more. 51 divided by 9. 9 can't go into 5, so I'm doing 9 into 51. What is close? Without going over, what can I get to? 45, which is what? 9 times 5 is 45. So 51 minus 45 is 6. 9 cannot go into 6, so 6 is my remainder. Now, the biggest difference here is in our past lessons, you were going closest no matter what direction it was. If it was 68, you would make it go up to 72. No, we can't do that now. We have to stay underneath it. So that's the only biggest difference. Last one we're going to do together. 48 divided by 5. What can I multiply by 5 that will get it super duper close but not over?
45.
Okay, what is that? 5 times 9 is 45. So then I subtract. 48 minus 45 is 3. 5 cannot go into 3, so 3 is my remainder. So again, that's like I have 48 people to put in canoes, but I can only put 5 people in each canoe. So I need to make sure I reserve 10 canoes so that my 3 people can sit in a boat with 2 extra seats. Right? Okay.